Ingrid, welcome to your BB Disney After Show. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in the car.
Awesome. So as I said, this is your time, your space. I have a couple questions prepared, but through what you share, discuss, sometimes things
Yeah.
might come up that way. And like I said, myself and Prod are the only ones that see this, so feel free to, you know, do your
hmm
thing. So first question I always like to start off with is what was your favorite part of the BB Disney experience?
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard one because I genuinely enjoyed so much of my experience. I feel like the two things that I'm gonna say are getting to meet new people because I went into this season not knowing that many people. Like I knew Allison and I knew Michael Randall, which is kind of a yikes. And then um I knew Molly and like I
Mhm.
had heard of Robert and that was it. Well, oh yeah, Schaefer. I always forget Schaefer was on the season. That's terrible. Sorry, Schaefer. Um, that round like barely happened in my brain. Um,
Mm.
he was there for such a short amount of time. But like that was it. So the majority of the cast I did not know. and I so like it was really cool to get to like talk to new people, and get to know new people and things like that. I feel like those bonds served me better than the ones I already had in a lot of ways. And then the other thing that I was going to say is the uniqueness of the competitions. Um, Madison was like, I hate Facebook org comps and blah, 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 blah. They're all balls and cups and balls and cups. And like, she's not wrong, even though I feel some type of way about some Facebook org comp bias. But this being my first non-Facebook org comp or org, the comps were very unique. And I thought it was cool, even though I spent the whole season waiting for like the Pixar trivia comp. Um, I mean, I won Jeopardy, which was basically the same thing. But it was really cool how they were able to incorporate the comps into the theme, but also like create these comps that were unique. Even if like whether they were BB Disney staples or not, like it was really cool to get to do some different things. I was playing another game at the same time, and I tended to enjoy BB Disney's comps more than the other game I was playing.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So is this your first? So you said this was your first non-Facebook game?
Yes, first
Yeah.
non Facebook and first Big Brother.
Oh, excellent choice for a first Big Brother game.
Yeah,
Bias aside, I am in the same boat. BB Disney was also my first Big Brother game. So, we made excellent choices there, Ingrid.
yes.
Yeah, I played last season, so super fun. So my you did touch upon a lot there. I love your insight. Like absolutely I like what is in that brain. So my question to you is why are you here on the jury and not still in the game?
Okay. Great question. Um, I feel like my biggest issue with the way I was playing this season was I had a lack of understanding of how, like, I understood my relationships with people. I had a lack of understanding of people's relationships with each other outside of me. Because obviously I've been in the jury for a couple days now, so I have said some of this stuff to them, but I jokingly, but also not jokingly, said to them that this season for me was a series of thinking my number one was my number one and then learning that they weren't. Um, Starting down with, I had Trevor was my first number one, um, and he was more loyal to Grace than he was to me. Um, and for that reason, he kept me on block when he had the opportunity to use the veto to remove me. Um, and so I did not feel bad voting to evict him, even though I like him a lot as a friend. Uh, so like I learned that too late. Um, and then my other ride or die that came after that was Andrew. And the more that I talked to him, the more that I started to realize that like his relationship with Rose was way more important to him than my relationship with Rose was. Like I liked Rose a lot and all of that, but our game relationship was not very close. And he kept being like, we should make an alliance with Rose. We should make an alliance with Rose, like over and over again. And so when him and Rose were on the block together, I really started to see how much, like how connected he was to her and how much he would go to bat for her. I mean, like he really fell on the sword for her. And so I saw that and I was like, damn, there goes another. And by that point, I felt that I had been neglecting Evan, who from his first HOH way back in week 1 did not put me on the block despite people telling him my name, and showed over and over again, like in his gameplay, that he was keeping me around and keeping me around. And so I started to nurture that relationship, you know, through his through his HOH, or his HOH where Andrew and Rose were on the block, as well as, you know, keeping me safe during live night when I was on the block, and actually like being one of the few people who tried to help me win the veto to like remove myself during live night. And he like didn't put me up during his HOH, and then it was my HOH and I didn't put him up and all this stuff. And then when it came down to it, he is the reason I'm on the jury. And he did try to pull a fast one on me when I had Molly and Robertoria on the block, trying to find a way to keep Molly in the game. That was kind of slick. He tried to get it so that Rose would vote, or he was telling me he wanted it to be a tie where Rose voted to evict Robertoria and he voted to evict Molly. But I could see through that what he wanted was for me to tell Rose to vote for Robertoria, and then he could vote for Robertoria and Molly would stay, because they were the only two voting that round. And I knew that that's what he was trying to do. And I also knew that it just wasn't, the plan he was proposing me on the surface wasn't going to work either. So like I saw right through that, and I could tell that he was closer to Molly. And then like he cried when she got voted out, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was too close of a bond. But then what I wasn't sure about, and I still am not really sure about, is how close his relationship is to Robertoria. I mean, clearly now they're the final two, but I don't know how much of that is their relationship and how much of that is them thinking that Rose was the biggest threat kind of a situation. But I really feel like my biggest issue was not being able to see the relationships that the people I was working with had with other people. Because I understood the closeness of the relationship that I felt I had with that person, but I felt like I didn't know who their other allies were in a lot of places. And I think that's what screwed me over.
Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes it is hard to tell the other relationships going on, but you know, you made it to Final Four, Ingrid. Nothing
I know.
that is definitely nothing to hang your head at.
I know. I'm very
You
proud of my
Your
placement despite
first Big
everything.
Brother game, you made to Final Four. That's quite the feat. Quite the
Yes.
feat. You kind of touched upon this in your spiel, but is there anything you would have done differently?
It's hard to say because I feel like I played the way that I feel like I played a little bit differently than the way I play Survivor, but I did that intentionally, in the sense that I tried really hard not to win a lot of competitions. Most of the competitions I either threw them or I didn't have to because I was never winning it based on my skill set. The biggest example I can think of myself like throwing a competition was the face morph competition. I knew most of those faces except for the very first one, like almost immediately. But I would give a couple of wrong guesses before I would give the right one because I didn't want that power. I didn't feel that I was in a position where I had a reason to put certain people up, and so I didn't want to create enemies when I didn't have to. And I did that intentionally. And I think that, you know, given the chance to do it again, I still would do that. I think the biggest thing that I think I wish I would have done, and if I got a chance to do it again, I would do differently, is nurture my relationship with Crispy more. Because we both went in knowing that we knew we had a mutual friend in Jeremy. And we like kind of bonded over that a little bit, and we talked a lot about like life, but we didn't really talk game very often. And I think that he was more loyal to me than I realized. And so because of that, I was not nurturing that relationship very much. I felt like he was playing the middle a lot, and I was trying to play the middle a lot, and they can only be one swing vote. And so when it was his time to go, I was happy to let him, and I feel like I shouldn't have let him go so easily. And I feel like obviously I was a co-HOH, so I didn't really have a vote or anything like that on the round that he went home. But like he kept saying to me all these things when he knew he was on the block and he felt like he was going, where he was like not giving names, but he was like, at least give me a chance, at least give me a chance. And like saying all these things about like, I always had your back, I always had your back. And in my mind I was like, but we never talked about it. Like we never talked about how you had my back or anything like that. And you're not even giving me like names of people you think would be easy for you to beat in a, you know, block situation. So I did let him go, but I wish I had tried more with that, because I think we could have done some damage together. So if I had a regret, it would probably be that one. But otherwise, I feel like I am happy with the way that I played. And if I were to play Big Brother again, I would try to play similarly depending on who else was around me.
Gotcha. I'm going to take you in a totally different direction here. Going to make you think a
Right.
little. Another prod member came up with this one. It's a fun question. I love just listening to you all answer this. So, if you could compare your game to any Pixar movie, what would it be and why?
Ooh. I think I'm gonna go with Inside Out, because I feel like I was very, first of all, there were a lot of emotions that went into my gameplay, and like I'm always an emotional player. Like that's just who I am. Um, you know, there were nights that I cried over this game. There were nights that I talked to people and were like and was super happy. There were nights that I was very angry about how things were going, or who won a competition or whatever. Um, hello.
You have to unplug.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Sorry about that insanity.
Okay.
So
Hold on one second.
Austin.
I need to turn your speaker on so you can hear her.
Oh my God. Continuing to answer that question, it wouldn't be a video of me doing anything for BB Disney if Austin wasn't in there to interrupt it in the middle. Relax.
Sorry.
It's a joke. But well, I don't want to just sit in your car by myself. Weirdo. Okay. But the other thing I was gonna say about it is like when I was trying to like think through the movies and like figure something out, I could only think of the line of Joy saying, "Have you ever looked at somebody and thought, what is going on inside their head?" And thinking about like, I felt like so much of my game was like me centric, the same way that like the emotions inside of Riley's head are very Riley centric, and they're not really thinking about how other people are feeling. Where like that can be good for you in a lot of ways, but it can also harm you, which is what happened to me. But just like thinking through it, I think that's the best comparison that I could give. I hope that's a good
That's a
one.
great. No, it's a great one. No, there's no wrong answer there. I just love hearing what you all say. There's been very different answers, so this was great. My last one, I'm not sure if I asked this or if you had mentioned this before. My short-term memory sometimes is a little iffy, so forgive me. What are you looking for in a winner of the season? Like, is there anything you're looking for, like when you do your questions, or?
It's a great question. I'm still pretty open. I know a lot of the jury is like against Evan. I think that they feel burned by him or something. I'm not really sure. I'm sure that the roundtable will be very enlightening in that way. Because I don't really fully understand why they're against him, but they are. And obviously, like Evan and I were very close, at least from my perspective. And like if he can articulate what he intentionally did in a way that doesn't sound rude, I think that he could still win my vote for sure. Like I want to see where his relationships were, how he formed them. Like I saw something I wasn't supposed to see, because during the veto challenge that ended up in my eviction, there was a little bit of a little slip up, and Evan's confessional was on the screen for a little too long, and I tried really hard to look away, but I did see it. And I tried really hard not to let that cloud what I was doing because I was never supposed to see it. And I don't want to hold it against him. However, I do know that with the wording of what he said, it sounded very cocky in his confessional, the way that he was thinking. And so I'm worried that he will come off as cocky to the jury in his speech. So I just hope that he's able to find a way to articulate his strategy in a way that doesn't sound cocky, because I think that will turn them off. And I think it would turn me off as well. And then for Robert Toria, I feel like they're two people that were voted out and now they're here at the end as a unit. And I think part of what I need to see is Victoria, because I feel like everybody has kind of looked at Robert Toria as Robert Oria, if that makes any sense.
And I see where you're hinting at, yeah.
And so like I feel like I need to see more of what Victoria was able to do, because if I'm going to vote for Robert Toria to win the season, I want to see, like, I know that they've gotten along well. I know that they respect each other, but I want to see her come through and her ideas and what things she pitched to him versus he pitched to her. Like obviously his competition wins had a huge part in them getting to where they are. And so like, I want to see where her head was at and how that affected their gameplay and their ability to move forward. And how, like, because if it was just Robert, then in my opinion, they don't deserve to win because they're winning as a partnership. And that's like a very lopsided partnership. And I would rather see somebody who did not get voted out win, unless they were really able to make something work well between the two of them and the rest of us. So that's my thought process, I think.
Gotcha. No, that's some great insight. I love it. I love hearing all of your different perspectives. You all certainly have your own interesting takes, and I love that you're part of this jury and you get to help choose a winner in a couple days.
So your
round table is going to be definitely a lot of fun.
I know, like, especially with Rose here now. Everybody's going to be so mad.
Oh, it's gonna be something. But is there anything else you'd like to share, or?
I feel like I said everything that I really wanted to say. I touched on how I threw competitions on purpose, that kind of stuff, and how I wanted to have like agency without having power. It was like kind of my biggest strategy. Other than that, I mean, I was really happy to be part of this game. I'm definitely somebody who gets very anxious and stressed out when it comes to orgs, because they're so time consuming, and I feel like I have to talk to everybody all the time or I'm going to get voted out, and that like makes me anxious and frustrated and all these things. And so like being on the other side of it now, like I'm very thankful for the experience. I'm very excited I got to play
with the people I got to play with, get to know the prod team better as well. It was a really, really great experience, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity. And I'm also just very proud of how far I was able to get in spite of all that, in spite of all the barriers. Okay.
Well, you did great. 4th place, nothing to hang your head at for your first BB game ever. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
but I'm gonna wrap this up for you because you do have round table to head over to. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what you and your other jurors have to say on finale night.
Yes.
Alrighty.